Hey! Is the noon train on time?
Supposed to be.
Feels like it's time.
Fair enough.
BBN Jack Frost. What's up, party people? How's everybody doing? I'm hoping everybody's having a beautiful day. We have a lot to talk about today. We will be going over the Jam Master J trial. I just want to be clear about that. We will be going over the Jam Master J trial. I am here to tell you what's going on in the courtroom. I am not here to try to get you to be sentimental, to have any affiliation with either party, or for you to want anything to happen or not happen. I'm literally just here disseminating information and allowing for people to know what's happening in the courtroom to the best of my ability. That's all I'm attempting to do. I'm not trying to do anything else. First of all, my heart goes out to both sides, everybody involved in this, their families, because everyone, all right, somebody has lost a loved one, and potentially, and then another family could also lose their loved ones to prison. So my heart goes out to everybody that's adversely affected in this situation, just so we could be clear, as always, because we always come from a position of God's energy. And God's energy says that this is a tragedy. So therefore, there's plenty of people who are going to be adversely affected that had nothing to do with this and wasn't a part of it. With that being said, today I decided what we're going to do is, we didn't give a proper, this is probably going to be a long show. We didn't do a proper, recap for the first 2 days. So that's what we're going to basically be doing. And we're going to shoot through all of that as quickly as possible and as precisely as possible. And I'll let you know why I feel like on Thursday, that was a very, very big win for the Washington family specifically. Now, with that being said, let's give a shout out to everybody. Let's do roll call. That's where we give a shout out to everybody in the chat currently. Shout out to Jamal Fareed. Everybody that commented. Shout out to Jamal Fareed. He says, Frost BBN family mods all in the chat. Happy Facts Friday. Today's Friday. I had no idea this is over here. He also says, let's go family, and we's back. Let's get it. Shout out to Jet Lee's over there dropping all of those froze. He's also saying power to the peoples. Shout out to Florida State Bullies. He says, salute, my brother. Hope everything's going well with you and yours. And he's dropping them froze over here in the chats. Shout out to Fox over here. Team Healthy coming through the door. He says, top of it, Frost, top of it, back to you, my brother. Hope everything is going well with you and yours. And shout out to Manzi BK. He says, good morning, Frost. Morning. All of the things. Now, with that being said, let's get right to the show. Couple of things I want to say. We always have to take into consideration that trial doesn't even happen unless an indictment happens. And an indictment should never happen, whether the person is guilty or innocent, unless there's a lot of evidence or a lot of perceived evidence that can be pointing in a specific direction. So whenever we're watching these trials and we see the evidence that the prosecution bring forth, understand they have to have a lot of evidence in order to even create a situation where there's a trial, because you have to go and get an indictment where you have to go in front of a grand jury and tell them why you would like to put this particular individual on trial. So as I'm speaking about all of the evidence that they have, the perceived evidence or whatever the case is, I also want you to understand that they wouldn't be able to get this far if they didn't already have things that they can be able to give to a jury in the first place, because you can't just show up and be like, we're just going to put you on trial. And then the jury show up and they just say, we don't actually have any evidence. We just want to send them to jail. That's not how that works. I was going to say that. That's not how that works. Shout out to BW, salute. He says morning frost. So let's get to it. So just so we could be clear, I missed opening statements. There was a couple of things that was said in opening statements that I did not miss, but there was something that I heard that was said in opening statements, and I just want to remind you of it right now. So allegedly, I'm not saying that the prosecution do actually have these things. I'm saying allegedly. We're going to see as the trial progresses. They have people who are eyewitnesses, and they also have people who allegedly heard the individuals who are currently being accused as saying that this is something that they did because they allegedly bragged about it, just so we could be clear. These are all allegations. We don't know any of this to be fact, just to be honest with you, right? So that's some of the evidence that they're saying that they're bringing forth. I am going to turn on this light over here. Anyway, so the judge entered the court, and it's something about it being cold. Juries was complaining. They've been complaining about the coldness in the courtroom all day. But I just want to say something. I think they should keep it a little bit cold, because if it gets warm, people are going to get drowsy. You need people to be paying attention. The court address, and I spoke with this with the who's the main person under the judge? Shit, super cutie too. Who's the main person under the judge? The judges, I don't know, it's like the top court officer, the judge that does all the judge stuff. Anyway, I spoke with that person about it, and they confirmed that that is a logical reason why that would be like that. So, anyway, or said that that is a reason why that would be beneficial. Anyway, they also changed the way in which they're gonna be questioning some of these witnesses because of witness availability. So a few witnesses, not all witnesses, they're going to be able to be cross-examined and directed, and it already happened. The defense was able to do that direct, and that was basically because of availability for the individual and the ability to be able to get them to come back at a later date. Some of these people don't live in New York. This happened in 2002. Jury entered. The first person that went up there was the first person that went on the stand. He was William Egan. He's a cop. He was a retired cop. He was NYPD for 31 years, 2 months. He was an officer. He was a lieutenant when he retired. He also, at one point or another, he worked for the Internal Revenue. Internal Revenue. He worked for IA. That's Internal Investigations. IA. They the cops. He worked out of the 103rd precinct. He was a street narcotics enforcer. He was also part of he was also a supervisor. That's basically South Jamaica. He said that he came off the streets and made a statement. Basically, they're saying that Randy Allen, after the shooting had happened, Randy Allen had ran from the studio to the precinct. They said that he came off the streets and he had made a statement and told the police that they had shot his boy being Jam Master Jay. He didn't say, but at that time, he didn't say who. He just said it happened at the studio, meaning who did it. They went to the recording studio with his partner. It only took about 1 minute tops for them to be able to get over there. They just absolutely ran, because the precinct isn't very far. It's like across a lot, the way that it was explained, a parking lot. And like across the street or whatever, it's not very far. You can get there lickety split. You understand what I'm saying? So he's saying that it took him about 1.5 minutes tops to get back. He says they got buzzed into the building. He said Randy did not follow them into the building. Randy stayed outside. That's what they said. So just so we could be clear, that would be proper protocol. Where is the situation at? The situation is in this building. Okay, you stay back. We're going to go into the building. The reason why I say that is because a little bit later, they actually bring that up. The defense tried to argue that. And that's what I mean by sometimes you can't argue pointless arguments. I get it. When you're talking to people in the street, these arguments is going to sound like they're going to win. But when we're talking about something that we're talking about somebody's life, this is just pedantic. This is not necessary. This is anyway. So you don't want to waste the jury's time. Also, that's one. Two, it's also important, in my opinion, not to insult the jury's intelligence. So when you try to make it seem like, why did he go back? If he didn't run back to the building with them in the first place, how would they have known which building to go into? There was no way to look at the building on the outside and know exactly what it was. So he had to take them to the place and say, point at the place. Anyway, so he stays outside. They get buzzed into the building. They went to the studio, to the second floor. That's where they heard a commotion. That's how come they knew where to go. They had never been in the building but previously. They entered the studio and saw a body on the floor. It was Jason Mizell, that's Jam Master Jay. They said he was 8 to 10 feet in front of the door. Second guy was sitting on the couch yelling that he was shot. Said that he was above, like Jam Master Jay was on the floor. He was on the couch above Jam Master Jay, on the couch, laying down, screaming that he had gotten shot. No one else was in the room at that time. But someone was in another room. There was a female on the floor yelling and crying. He couldn't make out what she was saying. Another guy was in that room standing in the back. He didn't consider anyone in that studio a particular threat. So he came in, he assessed the situation, and he saw that everybody that was there was basically shaken up. They weren't the people who were the individuals that were actually probably a part of whatever this is that just happened. Most likely they were victims. So then the police officer basically said that he saw that there was video games on the television because they had been playing Madden. He looked around, said he didn't see a gun, and he didn't get fingerprints or DNA. It was not his job because he called the crime scene unit. So at that point, both officers had to call for backup and get the people over there that's going to be able to take care of the situation. They made sure the scene was safe and no unauthorized people would be able to enter, because that's what they're supposed to do. They secured the scene. They made sure that the people that were there stayed put because they have to be interviewed by the police when the police do get there. And they made sure that the crime scene wasn't contaminated by another outside force coming into the place, then contaminating the crime scene, making it harder for them to be able to do forensics or whatever else they might need to do. The first backup unit came within a minute, because what had happened was when they ran to the location, they actually had contacted and said that they needed assistance. They already called it in before they actually started running. So by the time they had got there and they assessed everything and they looked around, the other guys were already coming. They didn't need to call them again. So that's the way it was explained. He said that he stayed for about 45 minutes after the crime scene and everybody got there, securing the location and everything, because something else he has said is that he was just getting on duty. So he wasn't even, I believe the way that he explained it was he wasn't even fully on duty. It's just that when dude ran through the door, he was the first people he seen. After that, he did no further work on the case. So then Mike Houston comes up. That is the defense attorney for Porter. Pardon me, I keep calling him Porter. Jordan. That is the defense attorney for Carl Jordan Jr. So he comes up, and during the cross, he says he was that he asked them, how many people did he talk to? He said that he met 3, talking to the detective, obviously. He said that he met with 3 state's attorneys. They showed him a photograph, special narcotics unit, they asked him what he was a part of. He told him that he was part of the special narcotics unit. Then because also remember, this was in 2002. So after 2002, he had gotten promotions. When this had actually happened, he wasn't a lieutenant yet. I believe that he said he was a sergeant when it had actually transpired. I believe that he said he was a sergeant. He wasn't a he might have been an officer at that point, because he's officer, then he moved to sergeant, then he moved to a lieutenant. But the point being is that at the time of when he retired, he was obviously a much higher rank than he was when this particular situation happened. That's just what I wanted to get across. Anyway, so they asked him some questions about when he got in there. He said that Miss Hyde was screaming. He says that Mr. Racon was on the floor, wouldn't say who shot him. Says he didn't ask more than who shot you, meaning that he didn't ask them which way they went. He didn't ask any of that stuff. The officer that got there didn't try to track down the individuals that did the crime. More so is that he stayed there to make sure that the crime scene was not going to be contaminated, and to make sure that they made sure that the individuals who had just went through and were the victims was safe and taken care of. So that was their number one priority. I want to say something real quick for everybody that don't get it. For the people that don't know it, a police officer's number one priority really isn't even to catch criminals. It's to keep the peace. So literally, often when you see a police officer go out of their way to arrest a person, they actually are going against what they're supposed to be doing, because they're not supposed to be wanting to arrest you. They're supposed to be wanting to keep the peace. So at this particular moment, the officers securing the crime scene, and the officers making sure that no one else was further injured, and the officers making sure that emergency services got there as quickly as possible and staying on the scene, was them keeping the peace. Whereas them trying to chase after somebody that they don't know which way they went, they don't know how long it is that they left. They don't know any of these things. They don't know any of these things. They would literally be, they could run outside and run into the line of fire. So they don't know anything. You understand what I'm saying? So I just wanted to be clear about that. It's an officer's primary job to keep the peace. It's not an officer's primary job to arrest people. That's a secondary job. That's what happens when you can't keep the peace, or when the peace is not kept. Anyway, says he didn't ask anymore he didn't ask them which way they went. He wasn't even as he spoke about it on the stand, he came across as, at least in my opinion, he came across as, I'm not even concerned with which way they went or which way they didn't go. That's not a concern of mine. What I'm concerned about is the safety of the situation and the people who are still here. As he should, just so we could be clear. And he goes on to say, he gets handed a paper. The guy hands him a paper because he's saying, do you remember saying a thing? And he's basically saying that he don't remember saying it. So he's like, did you say this? Did you say that? And the detective is like, no, I don't remember saying this. Remember, this is the defense attorney, Mike Houston. He going in right now. So I explained to you what just happened. So whenever a witness takes the stand, the prosecution calls a witness, the witness gets on the stand. The witness is gonna, when the prosecution is talking to them, obviously say all of the things. And that's what he's gonna do, right? So while they're doing this and they're saying all of the things, it's the defense team's job to do one of two things, right? A couple of things, but two of the major things is to discredit the individuals that is as a person. And the second thing is to discredit their story. So what you want to do is show that they're not being honest. And you also want to show that, you know, maybe they don't even they have a reason that they're not honest. Like it's not that they're just not being honest. There's a reason behind this. Anyway, so he asks him again, the judge looking at him, because don't badger the witness. Shout out to her. I got to find out her name. And he goes up and he hands him a paper and he says, does this refresh your memory? He says he doesn't remember asking, did they see where the shooters went? Now, I personally think that you do ask that question. Whether you go chase after the shooter or not, I believe that you do ask that question because that's part of securing the scene. I just want to be clear about that. What if the shooters are still in the building? What if the shooters are still in the unit? You ask that question. So either he didn't do his job, I'm just saying, or he lying. In any regard, if he didn't do his job appropriately, now you have to take into question why he actually did some of the other things that he did that make sense even. You ask that question, did you see where the shooters go? He said he didn't ask that question. Now, just so we can be clear, the reason why I believe that he doesn't want to admit to that answering that question is because the next thing after that is, why didn't you chase them? Imagine real life being like movies. Fast and the Furious. James Bond. And at any time while we're walking around in Midtown Manhattan, a police chase could break out with cars jumping from one building to another. The reason why I say this like that is because that's kind of the situation you're asking for when you want to know why the police ain't running down the block to chase after armed shooters. We're not saying they see the armed shooter, whereas now they should be trying to apprehend them. We're saying the armed shooters are long gone. What happens when they run down on the wrong individual that don't have anything to do with anything, but they don't know? Then y'all going to be talking about defund the police. Anyway, can't have it both ways, man. Anyway, so they ask him a question and there's an objection. Right? They ask him a question and then there's an objection. Right? The objection get overruled. This is the answer. Now, I didn't do this for every objection, but I need to start. I did it for a few. Just so you can know the information that was objected. They say that the guy didn't answer who did, so the officer didn't ask where he go to flee. You get it? They asked him, yo, who did it? The guy didn't answer. He didn't give him an answer. So therefore, since he didn't give him an answer, he didn't felt to ask which way did they go. But you still, in my belief, have to find out if there's still an active fucking shooter. Am I wrong about that? Hold on. I want to ask the question. Should the officer have asked, where did they go? Should they have asked, where did they go? I think you have to find out if there's a damn active shooter. Remember, I'm actively one of those people that's saying defunding the police is crazy. Let me say something real quick. Can we just take one break? I just want to make, I just want to say something. Just give me 1 second. So, did you hear about the congresswoman or whatever the hell she is that said that Evergreen, basically there is a store, Walgreens that pulled out of a neighborhood, and maybe that's what happened over here. There's a store called Walgreens that pulled out of a neighborhood, and the reason why Walgreens pulled out is because they're not making any money at the store. So much products is being stolen from the store, they can't stop all the stealing. So they're like, this store is not a benefit for us, so we just closing it. So the lady said, right, that it's racist because they're closing the Walgreens in the black community, and the community needs the Walgreens. Okay, I'm with you on that. The community might need the Walgreens, but homeboy, the Walgreens need to not have all of their shit stolen. And for a person to say that the community needs the Walgreens and been one of the people that was on the front of defund the police, you sounded really hypocritical. So you don't think that neighborhood needed police, but you think that neighborhood needed a Walgreens? just asking. Damn. What are we doing? Oh man. What are we doing? Anyway, the officer said that it was a concern, but he didn't ask anyone. Oh, let me get back to what he's talking about real quick. So I went on from that other thing. But he said the officer did think that it was a concern as to where the people went, but he didn't ask anyone. He didn't, he said he was concerned about it, but he didn't ask. So that's even more bananas. I don't know what to tell you. So you're a police officer, you show up to a scene, you believe that there's something that there should be a concern about. You trained for this, but you don't ask. I don't know if anybody else thinks that this is a little odd. Anyway, the officer said that he was concerned, and the people are out in public, but he didn't ask where they went. Then there was a direct, and he just asked, "What about the parking lot?" And then that was it, right? So now Washington attorney comes up. I'm sorry, I didn't note which attorney this is. I didn't know her name. I believe it was the blonde woman. She comes up. She said the shooters weren't identified. Basically, that what he said. She asks a question. His answer is basically the shooters weren't identified. Then there was an objection to something that she asked, and the objection was sustained. She asked him if he knew that Randy Allen was not a witness. Randy Allen was the individual that went and got him from the precinct. So she asked him, did he know that Randy Allen was not a witness? That was objected. The objection was sustained. So he wasn't able to answer. So then she asked another question. There was another objection. That objection was overruled. This was his answer. Asked if when he asked Rick Kahn who shot him, he actually said that he didn't know. So when they asked Tony Rickon, I hope I'm saying his name right, who shot him, that was the individual that got shot in the leg. He showed up to the scene. He sees everybody shot. He asked him who shot him. He said he didn't know. The reason why the state objected to that and didn't want the defense attorney to say that is because he's going to be one of the people that's coming to the stand now to point a finger. And they wanted to be known that previously he said he didn't know who did it. In any regard. So the attorney tried to show, the attorney shows him some documents, right? So the lieutenant, the retired lieutenant, is on the stand. And she has some documents. Now I want to be clear about this. The documents are not in evidence. So this is what's going on. 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of fucking 10, pardon my language. The reason why it's not in evidence is because they weren't able to get it in during the pretrial hearings. I don't know why they weren't able to get it in during the pretrial hearings. I wasn't at the pretrial hearings. I wish I was. But during the pretrial hearings, so before the pretrial hearings, both sides has to give whatever evidence they have to the other side. Then they go through the evidence, and then you have the pretrial hearing. And during the pretrial hearing, this side is going to say this evidence needs to be excluded for whatever the reason is. And this side is going to say this evidence needs to be excluded for whatever the reason is. Sometimes when this evidence is excluded, what happens is there'll be a caveat. The judge will say, you know what? If you, well, not the judge, the attorney will say, well, you know, during the trial, can I show this to the individual? And so I can, you know, basically jog their memory. So we cannot put this into evidence, but the witness can see this. And when they're on the stand, they have to be honest, because if they lie, they're committing perjury. So they'll show the paperwork and they'll say, well, this is jog your memory. And now, depending on what happens next, that might become evidence. Depending on what happens next, you might perjure yourself and get caught up a little bit later down the line. Depending on what happens next, you might just remember. So she showed him some paperwork and said, does this jog your memory? Dude said he never saw it before. This was his paperwork. This was basically what he told the state's attorney to help them get an indictment. So the information that he gave the state's attorney that helped them get indictment in the first place, he's busy saying he's never seen it. Now I got a whole nother question. How the hell could this not be in the evidence? What argument did they put forward? What argument could they have possibly put forward that made it so that information like this is not available during the trial? Anyway, I'll go on a little bit further, explain to you what happened. Listen, this is very important. I promise you this is important. I didn't even know how important this was when it happened, but it's uber important, right? I'm going to be careful because I'm not trying to help anybody. Look at these guys are way smarter than me, right? Even though I do apparently say things and then it shows up in court all the time. Not just in this trial, but in trials in general for both sides. I'm going to be honest with you. I've had defense counsel approach me wanting me to cover their case so they could hear my takes on the case. I'm talking about the defense. So I'm just telling you what it is, fam. You're really hating on the wrong one. I'm about to make me a coffee in a minute. All right, so let's get to it. So this paper, he says that he's never seen before. So now there's a whole question. How this paper is how the indictment happened. Judge is like, so what happened? The judge is allowing the form of question and the line of questioning now, because now it takes the credibility of this particular document into question. So apparently what happened is when he had his meeting with the state's attorney, it wasn't physical meeting. They weren't in the same building. It was actually on Zoom. So while they was on Zoom and he was talking to them, somebody was taking down the paperwork, writing out what he was saying. He doesn't know who the person is that was writing out who he was saying. And I don't believe the state's attorney has any obligation to tell anybody who prepared the paperwork or not. They could just all unanimously say, we don't remember this. So they have basically a whole entire document that they drew up that helped them get an indictment, that the person that was the individual that's supposed to be the person that gave them the information don't know anything about any of the shit in the fucking document. That's bananas, fam. I don't know what they're gonna do with that. I've seen them try to come at a certain angle, so I do see them testing the waters. And I'm gonna mention it, by the way. I do see them testing the waters over there. I be in court and I be thinking, damn, a little bit more creative, I might have been able to win that argument. And be honest with you, I be in court thinking that, like, damn, because I'll be thinking something myself, and I'll be like, you know what? If they was just a little bit more creative, because they knocking on the door, you understand what I'm saying? It's just a little bit more creative in real time, they'll win that argument. I'm just telling you what it is, fam. A little bit more creative in real time, they will win some of those arguments. Because it's not about guilt or innocence. And that's what I think people don't understand about trials. It's really not about guilt or innocence. Now, if a person is if you have the ability to be able to put forth if whatever you want, you can make anybody look guilty. You can make anybody guilty of anything. Like, first of all, is if you could bias the jury, if you could bias the individuals that you're giving the information to, or the people that's supposed to be judging the moment or determining the moment, or whatever the case is, if you could bias them, you could make anything sound like it's real or anything sound like it's a lie. That's why it's so dangerous to that's why lying is so dangerous. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. So he said that he cleared all the rooms, basically walked through all the rooms while his partner was in the back, like, I guess, like in the back in the corner or some shit. I don't know what the fuck. He made it sound like his partner was just backing him up, and he was basically the dude that was going through like Rambo. That's how he made it sound. Anyway, let me look and see if anybody put anything in that poll real quick. There we go. Somebody hit me up this morning and was like, yo, you're not doing the Jam Master J trial? I said, yeah, I'm doing the Jam Master J trial. It was like they didn't even know. So I'm assuming my shit ain't going out. Should the officer, 9 people voted so far. Should the officer have asked where did they go? 89% said yes. 1%. So one person said no, and 8 people said yes. So I'm assuming that is. Anyway, so it goes on. Now she goes into her direct. Now, just so we could be clear, if you understand what a cross-examination is. So a cross-examination is basically, you can't ask when you go and do, okay, so the first lawyers come out and talk to a person. So now when you come out and you talk to that person, you can't just ask them random whatevers. What you're doing is you have to ask them questions, or you have to try to dissect the thing that they were asked during the previous questioning. So it's called a cross-examination. You're examining the things in which they just spoke about. You can't bring up shit that don't got nothing to do with anything. That's why I keep trying to explain. It's like the same thing like when you're talking to somebody in a conversation and you're like, yo, I don't like the way that you just did that. That was fucked up. And then the person say, yeah, but remember back when? Nah, nigga, we talking about what we talking about right now. What are you talking about back then? Back then, fine. We'll talk about that in a minute. But let's talk about this right now. Then after we talk about this, we could talk about the back then thing. I'll discuss both, but let's discuss them appropriately. Let's not change the subject. You understand? So during the cross-examination, they can only speak about what the other attorneys were speaking about during the direct. Then when it's their turn to put on their case, they give the direct, and the other attorneys have the opportunity to try to tear apart that direct testimony. So that's how that works. I guess I'm trying to explain it as best as I can. And then during the direct, she asked him a question, and he says he doesn't recall if the witnesses were questioned. So he doesn't know any of that other stuff. I didn't do the questioning. All I did was secure the scene, and then these guys came. I was there for 45 minutes. I stood around like a security guard, and then I left. That's what happened. That's what happened. All right, so The prosecution calls another witness, U.S. Attorney. I got Cress. It says Cress here. I missed the name or something. Hold on. No, they didn't call another witness. The prosecution came back because apparently, so real quick. So let's say you do your directed examination, and let's say during cross examination they say some shit, but the thing they saying, nah, you got that wrong. You know what? We're not gonna let that rest. Before you call your next witness, what you do is a redirect. So hold on. You're gonna go back and just make sure we got this straight. So what they did was they brought up a document that he says he didn't make, right? And then someone else did and misconstrued some of what he was saying, right? The U.S. attorney, allegedly, right? The document is 3500-WE-1. He said he secured the scene with Officer Foley. Then the defense came back out for Jordan and got him to say the U.S. attorneys basically made the paperwork that the U.S. attorney is supposed to be neutral, and said that he didn't recall if or who took down his notes. So they're busy leaning into that. Like nobody knows where these notes came from. And yes, they are supposed to be neutral. Is that neutral? I can't really see that word. I try to write in a way that doesn't allow for people to be able to know what I'm writing. Anyway, so they're supposed to be neutral. Anyway, then Washington team came back out after Jordan's team came out and asked him some questions. And he says that he did meet with the U.S. attorneys 3 times. And he doesn't remember who did any of the note taking. This is basically when they get into the crux of that shit that I just told you. Who took your notes, fam? We want to know who made this paperwork. It's like he don't know. He says he never wrote a report, and he even lost the book that had the notes in it. So for everybody that don't know, police officers carry that little notepad around with them to write down stuff to make sure that, you don't want to just rely on your memory. So he said he lost the notepad that had, I mean, it was 2002, fam. What the hell you going to say? He lost the notepad that had the information involved in that. And he said that he didn't write the thing. So then the state's attorney came back out, and that's when they said that it was over. Because at this point, we don't know it was over a Zoom. At this point, the whole entire way that they're having a conversation, it's like you were face to face with the individuals, and you don't know who took the damn notes. You couldn't see who was writing. Anyway, the state's attorney came back out and they clarified that it was over a Zoom meeting at this point. So the defense team just had to give it up, but they were on to something. I think that they were on to something, but I think that at that point you do give that up. Like, because even if you lean into that paperwork is still incorrect. It's not what you're saying happened. I think that you let the jury know how you feel about that paperwork. At this point, now y'all got to look at everybody's statements. Now y'all got to go over everything, every statement that was made. Because you're going to ask every single person that get up on the stand if they made that statement. And you're going to ask them questions purposely to trip them up and go against what their statement was. Strategy. Anyway. The next witness was Detective William Lappy. He's a retired top. Next individual was William Lappy. He's a retired second-degree detective. He used to work with TARU, TARU. That's a technical assistant operations, technical assistant. Why did I write operations unit? Anyway, he was there for 5 years. He retired in January 2005. He hasn't. He retired in 2005. Basically, he was there from the 1990s. He hasn't testified since the 1990s. Like, this dude was old, fam. He just didn't testify since the 1990s. He retired in 2005. So testifying in court is not something that he did often, is basically I'm trying to say. The video recording had the wrong date on it. So basically, they requested to retrieve a video from the studio. So the studio video that actually was in the studio, it had the wrong date on it. So they don't even know they had the wrong date. So whatever was going on with their surveillance equipment, they weren't able to get the video from their surveillance equipment that was usable. That was actually government's evidence 101. It was a videotape from the J studio. It was just still images that they showed. And then they asked them what sides of the building it was and things as such. Anyway, so the defense come up and they had no questions for this guy. They both said no questions and just let this shit go. Both defense teams. Because he had no information that could actually help them. It was like, if you're talking to him, all you're doing is wasting the jury's time. You're making it so that just spinning the wheels, man. And this is something that is nothing to talk to them about. He was just there. He worked for the unit that just only thing they did was go there and get a tape. And there was nothing on the tape. So there's nothing to ask him. The witness, but the reason why the prosecution brought it up is because what's wrong with the tape? Why is the tape not have anything on it that could help us get the killers? When in reality, they probably weren't using their video jump off. They probably just wasn't recording it. They probably more than anything just was using the monitors to be able to look and see. They probably wasn't recording. I don't know. Anyway, next they called Detective John Reynolds. He's a retired NYPD officer. He was there for 22 years. That's his age? He was there for 22 years. He was not 72. He was there for 20. This is a long story. He was there for 22 years. In 2002, he was a investigator. He was assigned to do the video canvas. Basically, what a video canvas is, he goes out to all the businesses in the location. Anybody that has, should have a camera set up, and ask them if they have video so they could be able to look at it. He only found one place, and that was the local library. Now, the thing about that is, this was in 2002, right? So in 2001 is when we had 9/11. So around this same time, this is one of the reasons why I believe New York City made it so that everybody got to have all establishments, businesses, pardon me, have to have a camera in front of their business shooting up and down the block. I think this is actually one of the stories, one of the things that they, tragedies that they used in order to be able to push that through, just so we could be clear. You can look it up if you want, whatever. So basically, he canvassed the scene. There was 14 different establishments that he asked. Only one of them actually had a video that he was able to get anything out of, just so we could be clear. But the video was terrible, also, might I add, because it was like one of those situations, he said, where, like back when you had VHS tapes and they just taped over the same tape like a million times. People from the 80s and 90s know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. That shit, the quality is trash. In any regard, there was 14 locations. Only one get a video that had video equipment. It was the public library. They acquired the video. They took the video down to Taru, NYPD video guys. They couldn't identify anyone from the video. That was it. So now they got the cross-examination. Michael Houston comes out again. I also want to add, Michael Houston, in my opinion, very good court demeanor. He's very good court demeanor. And he's being precise with his defense. And he's not really, it doesn't look like he's jumping out the window and giving the prosecution an opportunity to, introduce evidence that previously he was able to fight to have removed. It just looks like he's using a lot of precision and with what he's doing. So he's doing a good job in my opinion. In any regard. So he goes to the he asks this dude, did the canvas about the VHS tapes. He says the tapes were helpful. Some of the times, most of the times the tapes are actually not helpful. And he explained basically the same thing that I said about the VHS tapes being taped over 1 million times. He says, noted all the locations he searched for videos. He says he never went to the second floor of the crime scene. So he never actually himself was at the crime scene. Just so we could be clear. Shout out to Chase Gaming. Shout out to T-Moto. Anyway, so the defense said at that point, he ended his cross-examination. He ended what he was doing, cross-examination, and the Washington team came up. So generally, the Jordan team usually goes before the Washington team, not every time, but generally speaking, he comes up. He says he didn't find any video that can help with the case. So basically, there was no video that he found anywhere that was going to be beneficial to them being able to identify any of the individuals in the courtroom or anybody anywhere else. There was no video that they were able to acquire that was good. The state then did a redirect. Pardon me. The state calls another detective. Pardon me. They went to a redirect and they said no. So the state calls another detective, Thomas Lockwood. He's from Queens County. He now works for the Queens County DA as an investigator. But back then he was a detective, first grade. He worked the Queens Homicide Unit in 2002. He investigated the Jason Mizell situation, Jam Master Jay. He said he did a photo array, computer generated array from a bank of stored photos. The computer picks people that look similar to the person to show to the witness, and then pick that person out of the lineup, and that if you recognize the actual suspect. So this is how they're making sure you know who we're talking about. So it's like if you put me in a photo array and it's me, and then you got 3 light-skinned niggas. How? Like you pointing at me at that point. So they're saying that they try to find similar pictures of similar photos of people who look similar, basically. There was 6 photos in the photo array. He didn't prepare the photo array, somebody else did, just so he was just making it clear. He said Vincent Santangelo was actually the officer that prepared the photo array. It was not him. He said no identification was made, and the detective didn't believe her. So basically, the girl had came in, Lydia Hyde. That's what she goes by now. I believe back then she was Lydia Allen. So they had her look at the photo array, and she says that she didn't, make any identification, but they just didn't believe her. Anyway, we go to lunch. They had a whole bunch of, they had a little bit of stuff, but it wasn't nothing that could, it was just BS. After going to lunch, they had us, back and forth arguing over a couple of points, but I think there was just somebody just, trying to nitpick something. It just didn't make sense. I started writing stuff, and then it was like, I wrote this thing that I write when they just BSing. Like, you're trying to look busy. I get it. Also, previously, they had objected to the photo array situation, to have it excluded from evidence. They accused the government of, I wrote some of the notes. They accused the government of putting evidence they didn't know they would use. The judge says that they knew of the photo array. So basically, Washington's team is doing this argument, I believe. I believe it's Washington's team because of how I know everything. And basically the argument is that they didn't know that there was going to be a photo array that was going to be used, allegedly. And they said that it had been excluded, and the judge is saying it wasn't excluded, that you knew that this evidence was going to be used. They said the photos were prejudicial. because all the photos were mugshots, basically, is what they were saying. Like, you didn't show them any photos of my client just in normal clothes, doing normal things and normal picture. You showed them all in mugshots. That's kind of prejudicial, saying that these guys are criminals. Which criminal do you think did the thing? But it's like, fam, all of these things are mugshots. That's what the photo array is. In any regard, fuck it, argue, right? The photos was prejudicial, or the photos was mugshots. The jury knows they were all arrested. Like, jury knows that your clients were arrested. They're on trial. It's okay that it's a mugshot. Shows that previously arrested to be prejudicial. They did not win this argument. All the men wearing civilian clothes, they did not win this argument. The objection was overruled. The photo array was allowed. None of this was, the judge said stop, basically. So Gonzalez now comes up, and she's the one that's doing this particular. Gonzalez is, I forgot her first name. She's one of the ADAs. She's one of the state's attorneys. So she comes up, and she's now questioning Thomas Lockwood. And basically he says Lydia was scared when he met her. Basically, when he met her, she was scared. Said that the defendant, Ronald Washington, was in the photo array. She didn't pick him out, remember? Said the detective did not know if Hyde knew Washington. He goes on to say no one was with her when she saw the photo array. Basically saying that there was no one that could, no one's with her when she saw the photo array. Then goes on to say his answer was may or may not recognize anyone if they do let them know. Basically, that's what you say. You're not pointing at an individual. You're just saying if you recognize somebody here, let them know. Then they showed exhibit 519, and it was the photo array. And then basically they say Ronald Washington told her to get on the floor while the other suspect shot Jay. That's what they're saying in court. Then at this point, because this was the direct here was only about Ronald Washington. They didn't do any direct at all. The information that this particular witness gave forward wasn't any information that pertained to Jordan. So therefore, his lawyer had no questions, because you can't do a cross-examination. He didn't say anything about your client. I don't know how to explain this. So there was nothing for him to talk to him about in any regard. Susan Kelman, the defense team for Washington, then asks his questions. Susan Kelman says the handgun found in the parking lot. So apparently there was a handgun that was found in the parking lot. She says Derek Parker, the hip hop cop, helped put the photo array situation together. So basically what they're trying to say is that you can't really trust the photo array. That's what they was trying to say previously also. And now they added a little bit more context to why they're saying you shouldn't be able to trust the photo array, because Derek Parker, that's the hip hop cop, meaning that he might have some ulterior motive here. Like, this is the hip hop cop. He's going to take the stand at some point also, they said. And at the time that this happened, he was not working as an NYPD officer, just so we could be clear. So this is how they're trying to, shoot holes in the case. They said that the detective says, as far as he knows, she was not forced to be there. They alluded to the hip hop cop forcing her to the photo. So basically, they said that the hip hop cop picked her up and drove her to the place. So he forced her to go. Remember previously when the prosecution was asking the detective about the photo array, and the prosecution said no one was with her when she saw the photo array? The reason why that question was asked was because they already knew that, because remember, they got to all exchange evidence. They already knew that part of the argument was going to be that she was forced to say Ronald Washington, because they never ID'd my client before. They know who my client is. They've seen my client plenty of times. So you're trying to tell me between 2000 to 2002 to 2016, 17, all of a sudden, now they just remember it? But before, when it was close to the event, then their memory was foggy. Now, after all of this time, their memory is crystal clear. So this is basically what the attorneys for the defense is saying, just so we can be clear. Like I said, I'm just discussing arguments being made in court. So they alluded to the hip hop cop forcing her to go to the photo array to begin with. Anyway, says he's never mentioned she already knew Washington. So she saw the photo of Washington. She says she don't know nobody there. But it's a fact that she knows Washington. Just so we can be clear. And she didn't identify him as a suspect till the photo array. So she knows who Washington is. Pardon me. She knows who Washington is. She did not identify him as being on the scene. And we know she knows who Washington is now because when she looked at the photo array, she was able to choose him out. That's why they're trying to say the hip hop cop wasn't with her. He wasn't in the room telling her who to choose. The state's attorney then comes back because they closed, they want to redirect, and said that basically the hip hop cop was her security. She was scared. See, the defense team doesn't want the prosecution to keep saying that people were scared. The defense team doesn't want it to look like their clients is menacing anyone, that their clients is trying to do anything to anyone. So they've been objecting feverishly every single time the opportunity comes up where the other side is trying to imply that there's any reason why anybody should have been fearful in the first place. So this line of question allowed for them to say, no, the hip hop cop was there for security. And this is what I mean sometimes by you have to be mindful. When you say a thing in a court of law, sometimes there's evidence that's already been excluded that the other side cannot use. But now, because of the thing that you said, because of the thing that you implied, now that evidence can now be entered because you can't put half of evidence in. You got to put the whole thing. It's like one of the main things that liars like doing is after they lie on somebody, they don't want you to talk to them. They only want you to know half of the story because they're lying. They was telling the truth. They wouldn't care if you knew the whole story. It wouldn't be of no consequence. When people are telling the truth, they genuinely believe people are going to believe them. Because you should. I'm telling the truth. In any regard, the Washington team come back out and they ask her a question, and her answer is that she didn't know anybody in the photo array except for Washington, and that alludes to the photo array being they basically was cheating. They had to get people that look similar to Washington that was already explained. So maybe they don't know any that one that he knows, that she knows, that looks similar to Washington. Maybe he just looks distinct among his and her friends. So I mean, I don't get it. But that was the argument. I just don't agree with that argument. I think that argument hurt the client more than helped. That's all. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm gonna take a real quick break. We'll be right back.
Yeah. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Yo. No fake love, no fake love. 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 No. So don't be crying at my funeral, nigga. Give me my roses while I'm here. No fake love accepted, homie. If it's all real, make it clear. No, don't be crying at my funeral, nigga. After hating on me all year. No fake love accepted, brody. No, not over here. No fake love, no fake love. No fake love, no fake love. Real, recognize real, so many fakes and phonies amongst family members, lovers, and homies. They be right by your side for the ride when you're up. Soon as you slip, you end up lonely. Can't tell your friends from your enemies. So many frenemies with two-faced tendencies. Wanna see you doing good, but never better than them. They melt on you when you get more cheddar than them. No fake love, no fake love. So don't be crying at my funeral, nigga. Give me my roses while I'm here. No fake love accepted, homie. If it's all real, make it clear. No, don't be crying at my funeral, nigga. After hating on me all year. No fake love accepted, brody. No, not over here. No fake love, no fake love. No fake love, no fake love. Smile in my face and kick it with my ops. Cause deep in your heart you wanna see me in the box. And you know it's real niggas that'll rock off top. That bulletproof love don't stop. I represent the cream of the crop. They watching, they jock. Still don't wanna give me my props. So they scheme and they plot on my downfall. And even through all that, I still stand tall. No fake love. So don't be crying at my funeral, nigga. Give me my roses while I'm here. No fake love accepted, homie. If it's all real, make it clear. No, don't be crying at my funeral, nigga. After hating on me all year. No fake love accepted, brody. No, not over here. No fake love, no fake love. No fake love, no fake love.
Told you I got him. Man, it's love, it's all love. Yeah. You got that fun? It's love. Appreciate you.
Made a meal before the rich eat, no lacking, bitch, I'm sitchy like my bitch is yellow bone, ass fat, yeah, I'm picky, I'm the type to hit a bitch from the back like she Ricky, get her hair done, just to get some top, now it's frizzy, when I'm done, I just bust all on her face, left her sticky, flood the whole hood with work, shit, now everybody busy, when I make it, whole hood coming, everybody with me, I'm the type to pop out with that stick, like you watching Disney, put 2 O's in both sides of his V, now he drizzy, I be deep down in my feelings, like who really rocking with me, yeah, my trap booming, bitch, I got more 3-5s than Griffies, yeah, them purse real, give it 5 minutes, you be itching, man, I hate these hoes, all of them some bougie broke bitches, living rich records, bitch, we some cutthroat niggas, wanna be the game, gotta catch a body, no snitching, when I caught that case, it was just me, no code of fitness, how I change up, been acting like I don't know niggas, switching lanes up, no this ain't that S550, switch my name up, yeah, but I'm the same old nigga, plain Jane's cool, yeah, but I like diamonds on my wrist, long live stack, still can't believe he independent, long live hat, niggas know he shot stacks, killer, that's that get back, every Every time we spend our ops block, they heard that shit clap. Everybody kick like 4Ks, that's a Kit Kat. Bitch, I dropped a mint on the grill, that's a Tic Tac. I be fresh as fuck, all designer, but it's mismatch. Tap in, I'm taxing for the sauce, yeah, I got that. Bitch, don't ask me what I'm smoking on, cause it's that iPad. Bullet got no name, but them shits hitting who I shot at. No, his name ain't T.I., but we left that nigga top back. Got them all waiting for the tape, they like drop that. When I'm in the A, they know my shit, I gotta pop that. Thinking I can't fuck your bitch, nigga, boy, stop that. Yeah, bitch, I'm Bugatti, you getting dropped if you not that. 731, I'm on the north side, where we my back. Ops say they gon' slide, but they just talking like a podcast. Fuck that yapping, drop the low, we pull up where they drop that. Left a wet sign on they block, the way the game came through and mock that.
All right, here we go. All of the things. Hope everybody's having a beautiful morning today. Before we get back to what we're doing, hope everybody's having a beautiful morning today. I hope everybody's having a beautiful morning. Once again, my heart goes out to all of the families involved in this tragedy. The thing we got to remember is this. Like, I don't know why this happened. I'm not here to discuss why anybody would want to take the life of Jam Master Jay, but I want to say something real quick. So I've been fortunate to know a lot of people that know a lot of people, and so I've only heard good things about this man. Could there be a scandal? There could always be a scandal, right? Let's be honest. But I've only heard good things about this man. I have a glint of a memory about some weirdo shit. But once again, sometimes niggas just hate. I've heard a lot of good things about this man. My brother used to dance for Public Enemy in his youth. I think it was in the mid to early 80s. If you want to know some of the acts that Jam Master Jay was able to bring to us, Onyx is one of them. Remember how they hit. So there's always negatives about everyone. That's why it's so much pressure to never be able to make a mistake. I don't think people understand the pressure that you put an individual under. Like, you can't tell a person that you love them if they're never allowed to make a mistake. I'm not talking about people doing shit on purpose and then saying, I made a mistake. I'm talking about people just honestly making a mistake. That other shit is manipulation. When somebody just does something to you effed up to be like, yo, if this person don't forgive me, that means that there's something wrong with them. That's manipulation. That's what I deal with. That's manipulation 100% of the time. All right? That's somebody trying to make you treat yourself like you less than who you are. That's all that is. I'll be lying at my funeral, homie. Give me my roses while I'm here. All right, so I just got a great fucking idea. All right, anyway, that was the end of them talking up to that particular witness. So we're going on to the next witness, and that was Detective Jessica Ortiz. Now, I want to be clear about something. All of this is happening, I believe, on we in day 2 right now. For everybody that don't know, we in day 2 yet? This is day 2 we in, just so we can be clear. So I just gave y'all day 1, and this is about the middle to end of day 2. How This is the middle to end of day 2. Also, might I add, everybody that's been showing up into court been fly as hell. Like, everybody is definitely showing up to court, and they're not coming in. They coming there to, they coming there to show out also, not just show their support. And just so we could be clear, I don't care if a person is guilty. I applaud family always for showing up, because you gotta show up, fam. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna blow my nose. I am not one of those people that think that when a family member does something that you don't, that's wrong or whatever, you be like, oh, to hell with them. No, that's not me. I think that you still show them support even if you don't agree with what they're doing. I think that that's something that we got to start actually teaching. You couldn't show somebody support for something that you don't. You could not support the thing, but support the person. And I think that we just need to start doing more of that. People, for whatever the reason is, we're not on that type of time. You cannot support, the thing that they did, but you can still love the person and support the person. You can still want the best for the person. I think that we need to start understanding that those are two different things. And that's what I'm always trying to explain when I speak about, sometimes, the treatment I receive or the treatment whoever receives. You can't say that you love somebody and you care about somebody and you go into all, you want the best for an individual. But at the same time, they're not allowed to make an honest mistake. That's kind of the fucked up thing about being smart also. Because when you're smart, it's easier for people to lie on you. They could just say that you planned everything. And you ain't planning shit. You just going with the flow, man. Just because I'm curious, we got anybody in the chat drop some for us? All right, so Detective Jessica Ortiz takes the stand. She is a examiner, NYPD. I think she's from the latent print examiner. She's a latent print examiner. She's been doing it for 12 and a half years. She's from the 61st precinct. She's detective squad. She's got 475 hours of FBI training. She has a bachelor in computer. Okay, so I'm gonna have to write that word a little bit clearer next time. But she has a bachelor's in some computer shit, forensics or some shit. She performed thousands of this is forensics. So she's done thousands of comparisons. Exhibit 401A was the forensic prints. So they have some forensics prints for 401A and 401B with two separate forensic prints. The police lab in Jamaica, Queens, that's where they did the work at. She doesn't lift prints or take photography. So basically all that stuff somebody else does. She just does the print comparison. She took some prints off of a cup and a glass door, a soda bottle, a 38 magazine, a magazine for a 38, a handgun, the 38 handgun. And these prints came from in 9010 Merrick Ave. The print cup, that's L2. Anyway, that's just the listings for what they were. The cup had Randolph Allen's print in it, Randy Allen. The glass door had Lydia Allen's print on it, Lydia Allen Hyde. The handgun, the prints from the handgun was of no value. They couldn't determine, like, what the hell. They couldn't lift the print, basically. When it's no value, basically, they can't lift the print. That's basically what that means. So it's not that they couldn't determine whose print it was. Well, that obviously, but they couldn't even lift the print for them to do a comparison, basically. So basically, how you leave a print is this way. So there's oils on our skin. Every single time we touch anything, we leave oil and moisture. When we move our hand or whatever, everything evaporates, but our print is still left there. We also at times, we can't determine it or see it, but we're also leaving skin cells on everything. So that's how they're able to lift the print and lift DNA. Boom. All right. So the handgun had no value. Also, if there's too many prints on top of each other, you can make it so they can't pull a print. Also, just so we can be clear, it's anyway. Also with DNA, so there's ways for them to get DNA and prints that are of no value. Just so we can be clear, I just want to be just so we can be clear about that. Anyway, so the 38 magazine had a palm print on it. They couldn't compare that to nothing. The soda can had Joseph Edwards print. And I think they're saying that's Jay Bryant. And there was no print to compare to the print that they found, I believe. So the defense cross-examined first. I'm not sure which one did the cross-examine. The defense team on Jordan has two people that come out and two attorneys, and the defense team for Washington has three attorneys that come out and actually do the questioning. For the Jordan team, it's Michael Houston doing a fabulous job, and Mark DeMarco also doing a great job. By the way, everybody's doing a pretty good job now. There was only one person that I was like, this guy shit, this woman shaky, and then she did like probably the biggest thing that we're going to talk about in a minute and a little bit later. She did probably about the biggest thing that was beneficial to her client. I don't know what to tell you, but up until then, I'm like, this bitch is batshit crazy. But you know what? Sometimes it's genius. And anyway, so I'm not sure. I didn't notate which attorney it was speaking here, but I think it was DeMarco. Car Jordan prints not identified, basically. So on whatever the prints is that they lift anything up off of, none of these prints were called Jordans. Also, he wasn't the source of any of the latent prints. So there's nothing. He's not on anything. She says that she testifies in many districts. Then Washington's attorney comes over and hands a paper to Jordan's attorney. And then he asks, they agreed that Jordan excluded from the prints she was asked to compare. So they didn't even have they didn't even compare Jordan's prints to any of the prints that they compared prints to. I'm not sure why Jordan's damn attorney would say this. You already, I mean, maybe I don't know. You already got your client not having prints on anything. Why would you want them to also say we didn't even attempt to test his prints out against anything? Because when you say that his prints aren't on anything, now the jury don't know. The jury is like, wow, they tried to match his prints and they came up 0. Maybe there's an issue. But now the jury is saying, so they didn't even try to match his prints? So that print that they couldn't figure out what it is, it could have been his. I don't understand why to do this. I don't understand. I don't understand why to do this. I understand why Washington's team would do this. Don't get this confused. And I do understand we need to get both of the guys off. Don't get this confused. But I still think this same information coming from I mean, I don't get it. Maybe Washington's team didn't want to say this because maybe this was a middle ground that the two sides met. We have to say this. But what we will do is we'll allow y'all guys to say this. But if y'all guys don't say this, we're going to say this. Because we have to defend our client. We're not trying to throw your client under the bus, but we need to defend our client. At that point, that was the last question that was asked. So that's why I feel like they came up there and they just told him, yo, look, we don't want to throw your client under the bus. We do need for you to put this information out there because we need this information out there. But we want to work with you. And if we put this out there, it's going to look away. It's going to look like we're pointing fingers at each other. And once we start pointing fingers at each other, everybody loses. So we don't want to do that. But we do need the information to get out. So we'll do something for y'all also. Do this for us. So that's probably what happened. I don't know. I wasn't there. Anyway, Washington's defense then comes up and says, is anybody enjoying this? I have no idea if anybody is enjoying what I'm doing, by the way. I have zero idea. I'm going to go a little bit further, I guess. What time is it? It's 11:30. I'm going to go to about the 2-hour mark. I have no idea whether anybody is enjoying what I'm doing currently. I'm going to go to about the 2-hour mark, so I'm going to try to speed it up some. Now, all of a sudden, that shit is fucked up. That shit is fucking up over here all of a sudden. It is what it is. Maybe I hit a wire. I don't know. Anyway, so we'll go to about the 2-hour mark. And then I guess I have no idea if anybody's enjoying what we're doing. So the Washington defense team comes up. And remembering they're questioning the person who does the prints. They're questioning the person who verified and ran the prints. That's who's currently being questioned. Her name is Detective Jessica Ortiz. She said that the 4 prints taken there were 4 prints taken from the crime scene, 4 sets of prints. Says that the gun and the magazine was found in the parking lot. And said that there was actually a different examiner. She's the second examiner. So basically, there was somebody else. She didn't get this information. She didn't get the case until I guess recently. She wasn't on the case in 2002. You understand? She wasn't on the case back then. So she's recently got the case. There was a different examiner. So she did her own conclusion. She didn't take the conclusion that the previous examiners did. She ran all of the tests over and came to her own conclusion. She said that Randy Allen, she said that Randy Allen, Lydia Allen Hyde, and Joseph Edwards identified their prints. Those were the prints that were identified. Now, what did I tell you that I believe that why they had the other person say the thing that they said? Now, just so we could be clear, the no prints that's being identified is Washington and Jordan's. Those are not prints that's being identified. Everybody else prints is being identified. Now, if they would have said Washington's name, Jordan's name, you understand? You got to put that in there anyway, in any regard. About them not even running to see if Jordan's prints were in there, basically. Anyway, so McConnell, the next witness comes up. The next witness comes up is Tiffany Vasquez. She's a DNA. McConnell is the attorney that's questioning her. She's a DNA expert, accredited office of the clinic of the medical examiner, office of the medical examiner, the clinic, OCME. She's an assistant director. She's a she manages the criminalists. She has she works with biomaterial, DNA tech leader. She's a forensic biologist. She's a DNA analyst. From 04, from when she started to 04, she was criminal list level 2. Then she became, from 04 to 06, she was criminal list level list 3. And then from 06 to 08, she became 4. And then from 2012 to now, she's been the assistant director of the facility that she's working in. So basically, she was a reporting analyst. Then she became a senior analyst. Then she became a supervising analyst. And now she's the assistant director, just so we could be clear. Those are the different titles. She is a bachelor in molecular cell biology, from Berkeley. She has a master's, and she has a bachelor's in molecular cell biology from Berkeley's, forensic, basically, analyst. So she has also, she does forensic genetics. It's basically with the DNA, and she's done at least 1,000 personal DNA profiles, 10,000, pardon me. She's testified at least 40 to 45 times. She says that the only people who have identical DNA is identical twins, as we've mentioned previously, every time, because they just mention that every time because it's important. If a person's DNA is not found, that does not mean that they didn't touch it. They still could have touched it. They just could not have left any DNA, just like what I've explained. Or DNA might not be able to be grabbed off of it for the reasons that I explained earlier. So they put out, I can't show you the evidence. It's evidence, 2 pieces of evidence. I can't show you the evidence or really explain what it was. So I'll go to the evidence that was explainable. So basically, they have exhibit 202. It's a bullet. They also had some other evidence, just so we could be clear, that she also did forensics on, that she also did paperwork on. It was a blue hat, a brown hat. There was a bullet. It was a blood hair, and it was a right and left fingernails. Those came off of the body, Jam Master Jay's body. She was not the original agent. Once again, she did her own examinations, and the bullets listing is 1568143. And so the exhibit it is, though, is different from its listing. The exhibit is 202. She says that she did the Casamine test. That's basically testing the bullet for blood. There was no blood found on the bullet, but they did find DNA on the bullet. They found Jay's DNA on the bullet, but they didn't find any blood on the bullet. So basically, it was explained as when a bullet is shot and it passes through an individual, it doesn't necessarily have broken the blood cells. Like, our body just isn't blood on the inside. Like, we are organs and all types of things that have blood inside of it. So when a projectile shoots through something, if it goes through it fast enough, it won't actually have any blood attached to it, but it will have DNA attached to it, because it is in those moments breaking the blood vessels and causing the damage that's going to cause for the body to bleed. So in that moment, before the body bleeds, is when it's making contact. After the body starts bleeding is when it's already passed through that area and it's no longer making contact. So there wouldn't be any blood on a bullet that exited a body, but there will be DNA, because DNA is going to be captured as it makes contact with the body in any regard. So there's no blood on the bullet, but there is DNA. They did DNA swabs for the blue Scully and the brown brimmed hat. The blue Scully also had there was no blood. But said that she never saw the hat in person, something like that. I don't know. She never saw the hat in person. Anyway, 2026. That was a DNA report. They showed that's exhibit 202C. Pardon me. They showed that was a report for the exhibit. Then they said multiple DNAs were on the blue hat. J DNA was not on the blue hat. Jam Master Jay did not have DNA on the blue hat, but there was multiple other DNAs on the blue hat. So how they get the DNA off the hat is, so they take the hat and then they take the thing that they're gonna collect the DNA with, and they run it around the inside of the hat. So a hat like this, they're running around the whole hat like this. But a hat that got a brim, they'll run it around like right here to collect the DNA on the brim. So that's how they said it. So there was multiple DNAs on the blue hat. Jay's DNA was not on the blue hat. They said in 2016, DNA technology had advanced. So they retested the blue hat. And upon retesting, they picked up 2 more DNAs. And one of them was a male donor. Then it's exhibit 210. That was more DNA analysis charts that they showed. And then there's exhibit 204. That was a copy of a case file report. And then Carl Jordan Jr.'s DNA was excluded from the blue hat. So they're basically saying that the DNA that was on that hat could not be Carl Jordan Jr.'s. Exhibit 205, once again, was Washington. It was a buccal swab excluded as a contributor. So basically, he's also not on the blue hat, just so we could be clear. And then exhibit 208 was a certified copy case file, and Jay Bryant matched the blue hat, the DNA that was on the blue hat. They're saying Jay Bryant matched it. Jay Bryant is the third person who's on trial here. For everybody that don't know, his involvement allegedly is he was the one that was allegedly buzzed into the building. And then when he got buzzed in the building, he walked past the door that he was supposed to go into, opened up a back door, and that's the door that they're saying that the shooters had came out of from the fire escape. Now, this is the government story, might I add you. This is what the government is saying happened. Anyway, exhibit 208, once again, was a certified copy case file saying that the DNA on the blue hat was Jay Bryant's. There was 2 DNAs that they was able to get. One was female, one was male. The male's DNA was Jay Bryant's. I didn't hear them say what the we'll see. I don't remember them. I don't record them saying what the female's DNA was. Anyway, so Carl Jordan's attorney steps up there. I forget which attorney this is. I wish I would have notated it. I don't know if it is DeMarco. Maybe while I'm reading it, I'll be able to remember who said what. I don't know if it was DeMarco or Houston. Both of them are doing a great job. Anyway, so the DNA in the blue hat is Jay Bryant's / Jason Robinson. He goes by both names. That's exhibit 202. Exhibit 204 said that Carl Jordan was excluded from the DNA on the blue hat. Remember, this is Carl Jordan's attorney. And that was the end of the day. That's it. And then now it's day 3. What time we got? I already told y'all day 3. I told you I was going to tell y'all get through day 1 and 2 during this live. We've done it. I got through day 1 and 2. So that's what basically happened in day 1 and 2. Once again, everybody is considered innocent until proven guilty, just so we could be clear. That's allegedly what happened during the trial. But that was day 1 and 2. Don't know what you guys think about that. I don't know. Nobody's doing any comments, so I don't have the slightest idea how well I'm doing right now. But I'm doing what I want to do, so fuck it. Maybe we do a little bit of live a little bit later today, and we'll discuss day 3 and 4. We do a recap for day 3 and 4. But I wanted to really do 1 and 2 because we didn't do no videos for those shows, really. For those days. We didn't have no shows for those days. So basically, you know what happened. Everybody, if you've been watching, you can be caught up and know exactly what's going on in this situation. There is a third guy, Jay Bryant. There's going to be a trial. His trial is going to be later on. Trials were separated for whatever the reason is. I obviously don't know why. With that being said, look, I love y'all. Go out there, do something good into the world. We didn't get to the 2 hour mark. I was able to shoot through the first 2 days. I think everybody is doing basically a good job. All trials is ebbs and flows, right? All trials is ebbs and flows. I'm over here to be honest. I'm not over here to make friends. I'm not over here to do what they did in that Tory Lanez trial when they was reporting, trying to be kind. And because they was, well, I'm being kind all the time, but they was reporting in a way trying to, you know, it's one thing to know what happened, but when, even if you know exactly what happened, that's not your job to go into the court and try to figure out a way to frame that conversation. It's not your job. It's your job to go into the courtroom and give the information that's happening in the courtroom. It's not your job to frame the conversation. It's not my job to try to figure out how a person is guilty. It's not my job to try to figure out how a person is innocent. It's not my job. It's my job to tell you what's happening in the courtroom. That's it. Do I think these guys got a chance of winning the trial? I'm not even thinking about them having a chance of losing. Because that's not my job. I do the best that I can explaining court theory. I do the best that I can explaining court strategy. I think I'm pretty good at it. I've accurately been telling y'all what's going to happen before it happens in multiple different trials that we've discussed ever since the beginning. I get it. Because of the hate that I particularly deal with, I don't think people, and I don't think I'm any kind of genius or anything, just so we could be clear, but I don't think people appreciate a thing that I do that no one else has consistently or successfully been able to duplicate. The people that do appreciate it do be the attorneys. It'd be the people that actually be working in the court. It'd be the judges. They like my takes on what's happening in the courtroom. A lot. I've had more than one attorney come up to me. And when I say more than one attorney, I need two hands to be able to count. And want to discuss law with me, and particularly sometimes their own cases. Not like let's sit down and write out, but like we're just having a nice conversation and we're joking around. Yo, what do you think about this? I've had them come up to me and say, you know, good job with noticing this, good job with noticing that. I've had them come up to me and ask me how much law school I've done. I've had them come up to me and ask me, did I ever want to be an intern? You ever want to work at one of these? So these are the conversations I'm having with people. In the actual field. So for the individuals that don't like some of the things that I'm saying, believe me, I am not in no way being biased. And there's things that I want to say, but I can't. But believe me, more defense attorneys want me covering your case than don't. In the beginning, people didn't know, but now they do. And more defense attorneys want me covering the case than don't. And this is coming from when I'm actually having conversations with people who are defense attorneys. I don't have a conversation with a ton of those guys, but I do know a couple. And most of those guys are the big wigs, obviously, because those are the cases we show up for. One of the state's attorneys, McConnell, I've had multiple conversations with this guy over like the past like 6-7 years. And this is literally, I think, the first case I've ever been at that he's an attorney for. So he's shown up at multiple different court proceedings that I was at, just doing what I'm doing. And I've had conversations with this dude, talked to this dude, stood there, talked to him. We talk law. Me, him, 2-3 other attorneys. Some is defense attorneys, some is prosecutors. And I've stood around in the group environment and spoken law with these guys. Why do you think when we was covering the Treyway case, the niggas that was pulling up to the courthouse was looking at me over there, the lawyers having real conversations with me and talking to me about law? You don't think some of those people wasn't feeling away because of the way that I didn't have good things to say about their loved ones all the time? I'm not here to bash your loved one, fam. I promise you I'm not. I'm not here to try to get them convicted. I'm not that type of content creator. Them is them other niggas. I just want to talk about the law. I want to discuss the trial. I'm literally the guy that you do want to come on platform and discuss the trial with. That's what I want to do. They want me to get my press pass in that building. So, yeah, they came up to me and pitched the idea to me. And then I was like, nah, but I got to do this and I got to do that. It's going to be too difficult for me to get the press pass. And then the dude said no. And then started explaining to me and said, no, you good. Told me where to go, told me who to talk to. It's like, what the fuck? So this press pass might be coming. I'm not saying anything. I'm not guaranteeing anything. I probably got to pay at some point. So I'm not guaranteeing anything. But it was dope. They said, look, hold on. I don't think y'all I'm not trying to be a dick either, by the way. I know anytime I don't agree that I'm a terrible person and I don't agree that everybody should hate me, I know that's the narrative to why I'm a bad person. Like everybody else is running around saying, hate me, hate me, hate me. Like, who the fuck is doing that, man? I want to know why I'm supposed to do that. I want to know, honestly. I want to know why I'm supposed to do that and nobody else is supposed to do it. Somebody tell me. Anyway, so yeah, they gave me the paperwork and everything. I haven't filled it out yet. So they gave me the paperwork and everything. Y'all hating the wrong guy, fam. Y'all hating the wrong guy, fam. You really just hating the wrong guy. I'm going to kick whoever this particular Ken Thompson is. You want to know why? Why are you in here having this conversation, fam? So just the only guy I'm gonna be able to get the comment is somebody that's trying to trigger me. So I'm just gonna kick you. I don't know if that's the real Ken Thompson or a fake one. If it's the real one, it is what it is, fam. Please don't tell me. Don't DM me and say I kicked you by accident. It was not by accident. I'm gonna comment that back so we can be clear. We got 18 people that voted. Should the officer have asked where did they go? 18 people voted. 72 people said 72% of the people said yes. 28% of the people said no. All right, so we're gonna go. Yeah, so I had like 2 people come up to me and it was like really talking to me about it. Really talking to me about it. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe we should start doing a thing. I'm thinking about doing a thing. I don't know. I need an editor. Like I need an editor where I don't have to do the voice and everything, where I could just work on the script. And like I need a working partner. I want a working partner. I don't need shit, but I want a working partner. When you got big dreams, you can't do it all by yourself. That shit burn you out, you know? Kids can't do it all by yourself, no matter how much you want to, you know? Working partner would be cool. Oh shit. I didn't even notice if somebody just started hitting the laugh button. Please do. I need to get more of this shit, more people knowing we exist. I know everybody hates me though. But there's nothing I can do about that. Anything anybody want to talk about, put it in the chat. I'm gonna let y'all go because I told y'all we was gonna be up here to the 2-hour mark. But yeah, so and remember I told you the other building we was just previously working in, they wanted me to do more shows and do more things in that. But also you do understand, if I can get the press pass, right, that means that I can now start having different conversations. You don't never know, fam. You don't never know, fam. You don't never know what could happen. Remember, these people, you can't go lie to them about who I am. Oh shit, this realized this is backwards. Remember, you can't go lie to them about who I am. They can just go research me. They're the federal government. They're not some person on the street that's just got so much hate in them. They just can't wait to hear something bad about somebody and say, yep, that gotta be true. You understand? Like, this is the federal government. Can't lie to them. I have a talent, fam. I have a talent. I have a talent. And it's dope that some of the things that I said then showed up in court. And it happened in every trial we've ever covered. And not for nothing. Generally I'm usually it's always benefiting the defendant so far, because I lean in the direction of being uh you have to prove the guilt, because that's basically what it is. You have to prove the guilt. So we always lean in that direction, that the guilt has to be proven. That's the only way it could be unbiased. So there's been multiple different times where I've had something on our show and it showed up in court and helped the actual defendant. So that's why I'm trying to explain, if you are a person and I'm covering the case of your individual and you're mad, you shouldn't be. You should be the opposite of mad. You should literally want me to be covering the case. I was sitting in the courtroom the other day and there was people whispering, he's smart. Oh, fuck. Here we go. There's stuff happening. There's stuff. I don't be trusting nothing. Nobody got my number. I don't know how these people got my number who called me about trying to give me free services. It sounds like a setup. I don't want nothing. I think you're trying to set. Sounds like a setup. You don't have my number. Rarely ever give my number out. The number I give out is not my number. I give a different number out. Sheesh. I don't know what to tell you. Didn't trust none of that shit. Fam, people be hating me for no reason. I promise you I don't trust any of that. We're not doing this. It's a fucking dick joke. They did it on air on ESPN. I think that was ESPN. They did a dick joke. Shout out to Cam and Mace. They brought that poor shit back strong. And I like the fact that it came back. You want to know why? I never really cared for it too tough, right? Because I don't play the gay games. But we've swung so far in the America has swung so far in the direction of LGBTQ that a dude can't even be masculine. There's women out there that think that there's something wrong with you if you won't date a trans woman, and they really just hate men, and they want all men to sleep each other. That's really what their problem is. There are a lot of women that I believe got involved in woman on woman activity, not necessarily because they wanted to, but they felt like they was pressured. So I think that there are also a lot of women out there that feel victimized by this type of behavior, and if having the opportunity will want to make men go through the same type of what they consider to be humiliation. So that's why I think that that's a thing. You understand? So I think that this has a lot to do with mental illness. And one of the biggest mental illnesses a person could have is wanting to get revenge, because what happens is people could rarely ever get revenge on a person they're mad at. So you're just out there doing evil out in the world to just random people that never did nothing to you. Just saying. So, it is what it is. With that being said, I'm gonna get up out of here. I hope everybody enjoy your day. Hope everybody do things that you could appreciate and love. Hope everybody is out there trying to, be a benefit to society. If the opportunity proposes itself, and if the opportunity doesn't propose itself, go out there and propose to the opportunity. Like, comment, subscribe, join the notification gang. #BrosBomers. Let's get it. I love y'all. Take care of each other. Hug the kids for me. I haven't forgotten about you. And that's all I got on this one.